Well, thank you so much for coming out this evening and welcoming me to this group. This is my first time here, and it won't be my last. The topic I chose for this session is one that is really germane, because I was trying to think of what would be something that would resonate with you, my audience, regardless of the business that you're in. And as a coach, as somebody who's helped people with career life transitions pretty much my entire career, one of the things that I find that hangs people up is confidence. Confidence. And, you know, it's often where we feel confident in certain areas of our life, but maybe not others. But, you know, what are those things that you can do to increase your level of confidence? This talk could go on forever because there are so many areas that could be touched upon. So I decided to really hone in on a couple key ones, and they related to your inner game. What can you do with your inner game to improve your confidence? So I want to start with my first slide here. Not looking back here, sorry. How many of you recognize this guy right here? All right, a few. I happen to live on the Cheese Head side of the river, but I'm a diehard Viking fan, okay? And, ooh, yeah, I hear some comments one way or another on that one. Leading up to that big game with San Francisco, all you heard, and pretty much a good point of the season was, is this guy confident? Does he have it within him to perform well in the big game, right? Yeah, as long and all you saw were stats. It was a whole discussion that really always related down to his confidence. So I'm not here to pick on Kirk Cousins. Hopefully he's enjoying the off season, right? And working at ways to come back and work on his inner game so he can be big at his game next time around. But no matter where you are in your career, this is always an issue that relates. And when I think about this in terms of my own life, you know, I feel confident in certain areas, but I'm a newlywed. I got married about 1.5 years ago, and for the first time in my life, I'm a stepmom. So I figured out an area in which my confidence, you know, when do you speak your mind? When do you bite your tongue? You know, I've never been a mother. So you know, confidence is something where, you know, bottom line is, do you have faith in yourself? Do you have the bottom line faith in your ability to rise up to the challenge of the unknown? Okay? Just to be fair to the Packers, my next slide here is one from Vince Lombardi. And confidence is contagious, and so is lack of confidence. So when you think about that, you know, how do you really build that muscle? How do you build that inner game of yours to improve your level of confidence? So I've spent a lot of time really thinking about where fear enters in and where we tend to have that sense of, I'm not in control, I'm feeling a bit at sea, I'm really, really nervous. And we all have these moments, right? I have them, like I mentioned, in my own family, you know, just becoming a new stepmother. But there are times that in your life you have felt a lack of control. You felt that sense of fear. And your body has a response to it. And you learn this pattern from your childhood. Okay? So I want you to kind of take a moment to think about an area of your life where you don't feel like you're as in control as you'd like to be or as confident as you'd like to be right now. I'd like you to just take a moment and think about that. And I'd like you to think about, what's your biggest fear behind that? What is it for you? What is your fear? So, your body remembers every time you had a fear response. And you develop a pattern to deal with it. My way of dealing with things has been, I get really flush. My neck is probably breaking out. I hope you guys can clean it up or whatever, in blotches of red. So when I find that I'm a little bit at sea or out of control, sometimes I'll just completely lose all brain activity. I'll blush and get 50 shades of red, or I'll suddenly just be dying of thirst, like my throat will get really parched. So I want you to think about, what is your body response? What is your response when you feel like you're out of control? Okay? What is it that you do because this pattern has been with you since you were a child? Why is that the case? Very interested in the fact that we have two brains. Actually, probably three when you take into account our gut. But you have neurons in your heart, your head, and your gut. And when you think about your brain power, your subconscious brain governs 95% of your activities. And we tend to use our analytical mind instead of thinking, my analytical mind is the faithful servant. We look at our analytical mind as the master, and we tend to tune out our intuition. And yet our subconscious is the one part of us that governs everything. So that being stated, the challenge about that is that your subconscious is programmed from the time that you're born till about the time that you're 7 years old. So before you even learn discernment, you are taking in information like a sieve from authority figures, from your parents, from church, from the media, especially if you're watching a lot of TV, right? Picking on you, sorry. But we're taking in information, and when we finally learn discernment, the problem is that stuff's already gotten stuck there. And then in order for our brain to be congruent, we always look for ways to maintain that sense of congruency. You cannot hold two opposite thoughts at the same time. How many of you knew that? Okay. So if you're going to get rid of a thought that's not working for you, you have to remove it and replace it with something else. So the reason I talk a little bit about the subconscious is when you think about what blocks success is usually it's head trash. It's head trash. We develop a whole lot of head trash because we're comparing ourselves to others, because we have that inner critic, because we want to be perfect. We want to look perfect, sound perfect, We want everything to flow in our lives. We want to be good at things the first time we try them, instead of realizing how many times did it take you to learn how to drive a car in parallel park, right? And get that done perfectly. So often what blocks us is that we end up having a very fixed mindset rather than a growth mindset. Rather than challenging the notion that, we have to work and practice to gain competency, we often expect that it just magically happens. So we develop a lot of head trash. And a lot of this operates on the subconscious level. We're not even aware of it. We're making statements to ourselves all the time. We're asking ourselves questions all the time. And yet most of the stuff is buried. So my key point that I want to work on tonight is something called affirmations. So you are hearing questions in your head all the time. Your subconscious is constantly pulling up, making statements and asking questions. So sometimes we're in this kind of pit when we're lacking confidence, like, why am I not good enough? Or why am I not skilled enough in this? Or why do other people always get the best of things? Why don't I have enough money? Why don't I have enough business? Why don't I ever get enough sleep? Why don't I meet the right person in my love life? So we're often running these questions. And we tend to circulate the same kind of questions and thoughts over and over and over again. It becomes a feedback loop, which unfortunately becomes part of our identity and our story. So how do you change that? How do you change that? So before we get to that, I want you to think about 3 disempowering questions that you find yourself running through your head. What are 3 disempowering questions? And some of mine were, before I met my husband, why do I never meet the right guy? I had a lot of questions about why am I not getting the kind of business that I'm looking for, and so on. So the difference between affirming and affirming and how it relates to confidence is this. We're always affirming things, but sometimes we affirm them before they're formed, okay? And yet when we say affirmations in a conscious way, there's always that little BS detector in the back of your head that'll say, that's not true. I have a happy, slender body, and I'm at my ideal weight, and there'll be the little thing in the back of my head that goes, that's not true, that's not true. So instead of making statements that you don't believe, your subconscious is a powerful question and answer generator, just like Google. So affirmations, as compared with affirmations, is the process of asking yourself questions that are empowering. So what I want you to do now is to think about those 3 disempowering questions that were in your mind, and I want you to turn them into empowering ones. Like, why am I always happy? Why do the right people come to me? Why do the right opportunities come my way? How do I always know how to be better organized? Why is it that I always make really good choices about my health and well-being? Think about what it is for you that might shift you in that area in which you want to gain control of your life or be more confident. And your subconscious is still programmable, even though you're beyond the age of 7, okay? And it's most powerful right before you go to sleep at night and right when you wake up in the morning, right when you're entering and leaving that dream state. So this is the time that you start programming yourself with empowering questions. If you want to make a dramatic shift in your confidence, affirmations. Because you don't have to know the answer, but your subconscious brain is like Google. It's going to go searching for resources, people, and tools to help you be more successful, to help you build confidence in the areas of your life. Now, you have to take inspired action. Okay, this is not just about, affirming and, asking those questions before you go to bed. But when you get your ideas, when you get your downloads, when the people come up and introduce themselves to you, when opportunities come your way, that's when you take those inspired actions. But you don't have to figure it out. Your subconscious is a powerful tool there to help you figure it out. So, I'm getting down here on time. And so I'm going to end with a quote from Daniel Pink. And his view of confidence is on mastery, autonomy, and purpose equals confidence. So mastery, getting into that growth mindset that, hey, I can master this, I just need to practice more, maybe I didn't hit it the first time. Autonomy, this is an inside job. You've got to figure it out. We all need our support system, but you've got to figure it out. And purpose, when you're intentional and on purpose, you can change the world. So you're all here for a powerful purpose, and I invite you to use your gifts in a wonderful way. 2020 vision, I invite you to look at the ways that you can make a difference and build your confidence muscle and change the world. Thank you so much.